My name is Lawson. I'm the training manager for Jaheziya, based in Abu Dhabi. Today I'd like to give you a general overview of the training which is conducted here at the training centre. The general layout of the training centre itself, as we said, it's covered over quite a large area where we have our main car park when we come in. We have our main building which has up to 12 classrooms inside of it, but we can also accommodate classrooms in other parts of the facility as well. So effectively we can have around 15 classrooms which can take up to comfortably between 25 and 30 people in the classrooms. The fire ground is broken down into kind of 4 areas, if you like. We have everything from a basic firefighting area where we do very basic firefighting training, where we'll go through things like the use of water fire extinguishers, dry powder, foam, fire blankets, and we'll cover the different classifications of fire from Class A, which would be wood, through to liquid and gas fires, and also how to use a fire blanket. We have a multiple purpose building which is done over 3 levels. We can have fires in each compartment. There is 3 levels on the ground floor, there is 2 on the upper floor, and then we have a top section which we can do entrances from above, where we'll use things like self-contained breathing apparatus. We can use fire extinguishers and also hose reels. And it also has a water deluge system, so we can cover the whole thing with water. For example, in the event of an emergency, we can cover the whole thing with water and that'll put the fire out very, very quickly. We have a pressure-fed fire, which we can use as for simulating a pressure fire, which can be a firewall or a flange fire. And effectively that will allow advanced teams to move forward. They can get to a shut-off valve. The valve will be used to close, and that effectively will cut the fuel supply to the fire, which again will switch it off, and that's a gas system. And then we also have a helideck area as well. This predominantly again was used by the UAE Navy for doing obviously aircraft coming to land on board a naval ship. So the fire monitors are in a high position, and they can also use it for practicing of door entries as well. The general store itself is where all of the firefighting equipment props are stored. So fire props like fire hoses, or fire extinguishers, tunics, hard hats, gloves, all the fire suits, everything effectively is stored inside the general store area, and will be issued to all the personnel or all the delegates that come through the training centre. We have in this section here what we call our damage control unit. Again, predominantly used by the Navy, and effectively it is that a naval vessel which is broken down into different compartments. These compartments can be flooded, and within there effectively they'll have wooden stoppers, or they'll have kind of jack systems which will secure or watertight the doors and reduce the water flow in. So it won't fix it fully, but what it will do is it will reduce the water intake, which might allow the vessel to be able to get back to a port and do a kind of more permanent repair, if you like. But it's more about damage control. The swimming pool itself, as we mentioned, is 25 metres by 20 metres. It's 3 metres deep in its deepest part, and it's 1.7 metres in its shallowest part. We do everything in there from creating wind to rain. We can have our sea survival training where we'll use things like the life rafts. We can use our helicopter escape trainer, so we can simulate an aircraft landing on the water, rotating 180 degrees, and how people will actually escape from a ditched aircraft in the unlikely event that it happens. We also have in there our lifeboat, which means that we can simulate what it would be like to go inside a totally enclosed lifeboat, strapping in, and what the passengers' duties would be in the event that they had to escape or evacuate from either a vessel or from an offshore platform or installation. We have our orientation building, which is where we would conduct our confined space training. So this is part of our HSE training, but it's also used as a build-up to going in to do internal firefighting, where the area might be very dark. The students will be submitted to an element of stress inside there where there is heat, and there's obviously an element of risk inside there. With the orientation building, with the confined space, what we have a tendency to do is we'll put them inside that building, and we can change the configuration of the confined space to allow different stressors in the individual, so people can get used to being in an enclosed space where they're wearing a breathing apparatus, and we effectively can change the configuration in the inside to suit different clients' needs, if you like. And what we can also then do is we build that up from being a room where there is natural daylight, or there's daylight in there, where they can see everything they're doing, to then putting blindfolds on them, which then effectively increases your stressor, to then having complete darkness. And then what that does is it means that as we can issue out or sort any issues that they might have there before we actually put them into a live fire or a live confined space area. It's quite a good training. We have a simulation building, which again predominantly is used for doing our NFPA type fire training. So that is normally a 3-month course, taking you from a very novice firefighting up to effectively a civil defence firefighter, if you like. So it's 3 months, very, very intensive 12-week training course, and predominantly people will stay here when they're doing that training. So they'll do everything from compartmental firefighting to confined space, SCBA, use of ladders, teamwork, communication, leadership, search and rescue, and that's the type of training which will be done during the NFPA training. Our dormitory, as we said, has 60 rooms, and then we have our mess area, which is here, which is for the dining of our students when they're on course. We have our mosque, and on our helideck area, which we have here on the right-hand side as you come in, we now also have an aircraft simulator and a hazmat unit. What I'd like to do now is just to, again, give you a general overview of the different types of courses which we're actually running here at the centre.